So Sam, for the properties that you have now, so when renting by the room, right, you've sort of built an ecosystem, a business.
Yeah.
What made you decide to build this and rent out, buy houses, rent them by the room? Because I know that you're buying like 4 bedrooms, but then you are adding rooms and all this other stuff. What made you decide to do that? Because it does require a little bit more work than just putting in a family.
Dude, I'd even double down on that and say it requires a lot more work. I mean, it's, you know,
Mhm.
especially when you start doing it at bigger scale, like you just have problems, a lot more problems, for sure. So, uh, what made me decide to, is the question, what made me decide to like keep going with this or decide to turn it into a business? Is that the question?
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
to, because you bought like one property and
Right.
then you bought the second one and the third one, but it was solely to rent out the rooms, like to
Right.
turn it into a business. What
Right.
made you
Right.
decide to do that?
Honestly, I think it was kind of twofold, Diego. One was just the return was much greater, um, than I could if I put in a single family. And then two, I could get a lot of not first time home buyers, but owner occupied homes because I would move into the home and I would just rent out rooms. And so when I was single, and I only got married 2.5 years ago. So when I was single, I would, it just like the ecosystem was great for me because I'd go into a new home, I'd get the best loan, right? With the lowest rate because I was going to be owner occupied home, and then I could have my roommates pay the mortgage and a little and some. And so that just started to snowball. And I think I got to like 5 or 6 houses kind of that way, just like living.
Mhm.
Oh, well, I'll just put someone in my room at this house and go live in the master at this house. And so doing that a few times. And then I kind of felt like, oh, this is like, it is a little ecosystem. And I gotta be honest, dude, I'm super big on just infusing purpose into anything that I do. And so like, I started to get close to my roommates. We started to have like awesome times. I ended up officiating the wedding. One of our parties for our homes, we do these like little get-togethers, and like this girl came in and she met one of my roommates, and they ended up getting together and they ended up getting married. And so I officiated their wedding. So it's like, right. And so I'm seeing guys making good money, living in my house, having a good time, enjoying life and saving money. And so I started to tell myself, like, this is not just cool for me. I'm doing good for other people. And I think that's when it really clicked, is when I realized,
Mhm.
like, I'm actually helping young people save money and not have to freaking go put all these utilities in their name and freaking, go, $1,100 probably for a 1 bedroom around here. Maybe not that much back then, but um, like, yeah, I felt like I was then like truly helping the world. And I feel like that was when it kind of kicked off.
Yeah. And with the houses that you've bought, I know that you've turned a couple, like multiple areas. Like you have a strategy to be able to turn like a 4 bedroom home into like 6 bedrooms.
Yeah.
What is it that you have looked in the past, like with some of your properties that made you,
Yeah.
okay, this is an opportunity here, this is another opportunity?
Yeah. So kind of like you're asking, just to clarify, like what's my criteria if I were to walk through a home and
Yes,
like, yeah, yeah,
exactly.
I've got
To
really
to know that you can add more rooms in there to like
right, right,
maximizing it,
right.
because that's something that you're good at.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I always look at square footage. So like if it's a 1,500 or less square foot house, there's just no way you're gonna put more than 3 to 4 bedrooms, just depending on how it's laid out, but max four. You might be able to get four in a 1,500 square foot house, actually. Which seems tight, but I think I've got a 1,600 square foot with four bedrooms. It was normally a three. I added the fourth. I took like the little living room kind of cut off, and made it a bedroom, and took the half bath downstairs and made it a full. So it went from a 3, 2.5 to a 4, 3. And that's great. That was actually my first property I bought in Charlotte. I love that property. It's so awesome. Um, because it just always stays full for whatever reason. Nobody leaves that house. Is awesome. Um, yeah, if I'm scrolling Zillow or looking through MLS, I'm going to be looking for square footage first.
Mhm.
I even don't even look at the number of bedrooms necessarily. I just know, like, if it's a 2,000 square foot home, that's 4 to 5. If it's a 22 square foot home or higher, like that's 5 to 6. I just know that. I mean, there's only so many ways that houses can be laid out, right? It's like it's a bedroom, it's a dining room,
Mhm.
it's a living room, and it's some bathrooms. Like, so I think that's one of the things I look for, when we do the room rental thing, is square footage, and then usually like it's kind of just a quick calculation of $50,000 per bedroom. So if I'm like, oh, it's It's a 1,600 square foot house. Yeah, it's going to fit about 4 bedrooms. Oh, it has 2 already. Okay, well, I'm sure, whatever. So, okay, it's 4. All right, I'll pay about 200 grand for that house. And that's even hard to find right now, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like that's really hard to find, but we're having to get more creative. And then I'll show up on site, or I'll have the realtors go look at it and video me because we've done this a bunch. But, we got in a big, like non-HOA homes do best. Parking, you've really got to look at neighbors, how close neighbors are, parking, and then number of bathrooms, because the people love to have their own bathroom. So if I can add a bath or add 2 baths, then I'll do it in a heartbeat, because I can charge, maybe $800 for that room versus $675, or $700. So does that answer your question? That's a little bit of some of my criteria.
Yeah. So right now, for example, a home that you may have bought, not the one that you're currently living in, but let's say one that you bought, let's say in 2018.
Yeah. 2018.
You turn it, or 2017, whatever. You turn that probably like 4 bedrooms into five bedrooms. Mm-hmm. How much are you getting per home right now?
Well, just total gross revenues.
Yeah.
I mean, the one that's top of my mind is the one I just bought, and we just filled it. You want me to tell you that one?
Yeah, sure. No. That one's perfect.
We just bought one for 3. It's in a new area. It's in near Asheville, and housing's even more expensive than it is in Charlotte, North Carolina. And so I was like, it might work in this town. So I bought this house, and we put 8 tenants in this house.
8 tenants?
And I think I could have charged more, but I was just so nervous about getting that many in. And dude, we literally just finished a light rehab. Maybe 20 to 30 days ago. I'm not that good with timelines, so like it seems like a month to me, but it hasn't been over a month. I know it hasn't been over a month. And and it's full. We filled up every single room. And so it's got 8 tenants, and the total rent I think is $5,050.
$5,050.
Yeah.
Okay.
On that home.
And how big is that home?
2,600 square feet.
2,600 square feet. Okay, so does it have a basement? Like, describe that house, because how the heck did you put in 8 roommates then? This was
kind of a lucky one, but I like this because this house sat in the market for 250 days. No one wanted it. It was an old retreat center, like a church retreat center. So it had a bunch of bedrooms and a bunch of bathrooms. It had a ton of bathrooms. So it was like an old, the church would bring the summer camp or the boys group or whatever, and they would all stay in this retreat center. So they put it, the church was I guess, struggling through COVID. They needed to sell it. They put it on the market, and it sat for a long time. And then we picked it up a few months ago.
So did you analyze the area? How did you analyze that area in Asheville?
I have Airbnb. That's a great question. I have Airbnbs in that area, but it was the first co-living we've ever done in that area. And honestly, it was kind of a shot in the dark. It was kind of a faith thing. It was kind of just a gut feeling of you know what? I know. Oh, but I would talk to people. I'd talk to the waiters and the waitresses. I'd be like, where do you live in Asheville? I'd be like, where do you live? They're like, oh yeah, I live 45 minutes away. I'm like, you drive 45 minutes? They're like, yeah. And some people are like, well, I drove an hour and a half. I'm like, you drive an hour and a half? But that's because everything's so freaking expensive in this little town. It's so weird. I don't know why, but it is like Portland. That's awesome, Dana. So it's a great area, but housing's expensive. And so people would have to drive. So I did start to pick up that.
Interesting. Dude, that's awesome. Cause you figure out you solved a problem. This is something that anybody can do. Just asking around. That's awesome. Continue though.
Yeah.
This is great.
No, that's it. I mean, and the truth is I think the co-living is an up and coming thing. I think it's a lot of work. It's a lot of management. That's what we've realized is, I mean, we've got a team that does it now, a full team.
Yeah.
So that was a great deal. That was a great deal. That's an asset. That's an asset that I'll be excited to have for the next 10, 15 years. It's a great cash flowing asset.
Yeah. So you bought that one for how much? $320. And how much did you put into it to
probably
make it
35, probably 35K.
35K. So now you're in around,
just to be really clear, we didn't need to, but we wanted to. My wife, Rachel, is a designer. And so if we go in, we redid the whole kitchen. It was fine. It was totally a workable kitchen, but we redid the whole kitchen. We redid all the flooring, updated bathrooms.
Updated bathrooms too. Okay. Yeah. So 35. So then at that point you're all in 36, 37. I mean 370, let's say.
Yeah. 370K. Yeah.
And then it rents for a gross of 550.
Yeah.
500, 5,500.
Yes, sir.
And how did you find the tenants?
Yeah, I saw that question pop up in the chat. So Craigslist has always been really big for us. People search for room shares there. We Zillow, Trulia, Hot Pads now has an option where you can do a room. Be careful though if you do that. Like if the HOAs find out if you are in an HOA, like
Yes.
they can they'll shut you down.
Uh-huh.
And
That's why I don't usually recommend doing it on Zillow
yeah,
or Hot Pads, but
yeah.
if you're not in an HOA, you're good.
If you're not an HOA, I think we found the same thing. We started running a Google AdWords campaign, an actual legit Google AdWords campaign. We're paying someone to do it, and I feel like that was good. That's been good. That's produced leads, and they're cheap leads. You know, $5, $6, $7, $8 a piece. I can get the actual number if you want, but and then Facebook's good. Facebook's really good too. That's all. That's what we use. And then referrals. We've got a pretty bomb referral program.
Mm-hmm. And can you type in the name of your website? Because I know you have a website.
Life Door Rental.